Jai.
We offer our most respectful obeisances unto all the Lord, who just like desire trees, fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the lawless and conditioned soul.
Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Vanadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Vallabha Girivanadhari Yasodanandana Brajagana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajagana Ranjana Brajagana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Vallabha Girivanadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Yasodanandana Vrajagana Ranjana Ranjana Yasodanandana Naranjana Vrajagana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pakavacharya Satarya Satashishi Madha's Divine Grace H.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON founder Srila Prabhupada Ki Anatgauda Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sikoshi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Navadvip Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Ganga Devi Ki Jamuna Devi Ki Bhakta Devi Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Shri Shri Radha Golokananda Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktarinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktarinda. Reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, chapter 25, how the residents of Varanasi became Vaishnavas. And we'll pick up at text 167. So it's been a few weeks since we've had a CC class. And so we're here, Lord Chaitanya is coming on his way back to Navadvip. He's actually been traveling for like 6 years, South India, Bengal, Vrindavan. And so we read where he preached Madhya-lila, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and the Mayavadi sannyasis in Varanasi. And he delivered all of them. So that's where this chapter is, wrapping that up. So we begin at text 167. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then returned to his residence with his personal associates. Thus he turned the whole city of Varanasi into another Navadvip, Nadia Narga. Purport. Both Navadvip and Varanasi were celebrated for their highly educational activities. At the present time, these cities are still inhabited by great learned scholars. But Varanasi is especially a center for Mayavadi sannyasis, who are learned scholars. However, unlike Navadvip, there are hardly any devotees in Varanasi. Consequently, a discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam was very rare in Varanasi. In Navadvip, such a discussion is quite ordinary. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Varanasi and turned Prasikananda Saraswati and his disciples into Vaishnavas, Varanasi became like Navadvip because so many devotees began discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. Even at the present moment, one can hear many discussions on Srimad Bhagavatam taking place on the banks of the Ganges. Many scholars and sannyasis gather there to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and perform Sankirtan. Om Aganda Timarandasya Gananjana Shilakaya Chakshurumlitam Niyatai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, of course, we see the emphasis that Srimad Bhagavatam is playing on the entire society. Even Mayavadis would read Srimad Bhagavatam, but spin it in a Mayavad way. We got Mukunda would Lord Chaitanya chastise him for hearing. And Srivas Thakur also went and listened and was actually kicked out, but he was hearing it, and even though it was being spoken in a Mayavad way, he was hearing it because of his pure devotional heart. And so there he was feeling some ecstasy, and they thought that disturbed the class, and they had him removed. So that's a whole nother pastime. So Srimad Bhagavatam, so important that Prabhupada has it every day in every temple in ISKCON. Text 168. Among his own associates, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu laughingly said, I came here to sell my emotional, ecstatic love. Although I came to Varanasi to sell goods, there were no customers, and it appeared necessary for me to carry them back to my own country. All of you were feeling unhappy that no one was purchasing my goods and that I could purchasing my goods and that I would have to carry them away. Therefore, by your will only, I have distributed them without charging. Purport. You just got to hear. That's the price, you know. When we began distributing the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Western countries, it's kind of interesting because Prabhupada used this we began. Because it was he began. So I mean, you could kind of look at this in different ways because he wasn't alone. Krishna was with him, you know. Purport, when we began distributing the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Western countries, a similar thing happened. In the beginning, we were very much disappointed for at least 1 year because no one came forth to help this movement. But by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, some young boys joined this movement in 1966. Of course, we distributed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message to the message of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without bargaining or selling. As a result, this movement has spread all over the world with the assistance of European and American boys and girls. We therefore pray for all the blessings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu upon all the devotees in the Western world who are spreading this movement. Text 171. All the Lord's devotees then said, you have incarnated to deliver fallen souls. You have delivered them in the east and in the south, and now you are delivering them in the west. So he's like been traveling. So he's traveled to South India, and Bengal, Vrindavan. Only Varanasi was left because the people there were against your missionary activities. Now you have delivered them, and we are all very happy. After the news of these events was broadcast, everyone from the surrounding neighborhoods began to pour in to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hundreds of thousands of people came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There was no counting the number because the Lord's residence was very small. Not everyone could see him. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to take his bath in the Ganges and to see the temple of Hillsborough, people would line up on both sides to see the Lord. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed by the people, he would raise his arms and say, "Please chant Krishna. Please chant Hari." All the people received him by chanting Hare Krishna, and they offered their respects to him by this chanting. In this way, for 5 days, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the people of Varanasi. Finally, on the next day, he became very eager to leave. After rising early on the 6th day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started to leave, and 5 devotees began to follow him. These 5 devotees were Tapana Mishri, Raghunath, Maharashtrain Brahman, Chandrasekhar, Parmananda, Kirtaniya. These 5 wanted to accompany Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Jagannath Puri, but the Lord attentively bade them farewell. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "If you want to see me, you may come later, but for the time being I shall go alone through the Jarikhanda forest." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised Sanatana Goswami to proceed toward Vrindavan, and he informed him that his 2 brothers had already gone there. Of course, he goes there and he finds that they left, and they came, actually saw Lord Chaitanya at Ramakeli. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami, "All my devotees who go to Vrindavan are generally very poor. They each have nothing with them but a torn quilt and a small water pot. Therefore, Sanatana, you should give them shelter and maintain them." Purport. Following the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have constructed temples in both Vrindavan and Mayapur. Navadvip, just to give shelter to the foreign devotees coming from Europe and America. Since the Hare Krishna movement started, many Europeans and Americans have been visiting Vrindavan, but they have not been properly received by any ashram or temple there. It is the purpose of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness to give them shelter and train them in devotional service. There are also many tourists eager to come to India to understand India's spiritual life, and the devotees in our temples, both in Vrindavan and in Navadvip, should make arrangements to accommodate them as far as possible. This is like, they're ripe for picking, devotees who go to India, and not devotees, but just tourists or Westerners. And actually, Indrajuma Swami has kind of tapped into that with his Rishi, his festival he has. I think in the last 3 or 4 years, he's been doing the big festival there, and have all these Westerners there. So it's like ripe for preaching and influencing those to take up devotional service to Lord Chaitanya. Okay, text 184. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them all and began to proceed on his way. And they all fainted and fell down. After some time, all the devotees got up and returned to their homes, very much grief-stricken. Sanatana Goswami proceeded towards Vrindavan alone. When Rupa Goswami reached Mathura, he met Subhuti Roy on the banks of the Yamuna at a place called Dhruvagat. Formerly, Subhuti Roy had been a big landholder in Godadesh, Bengal. Sayyada Husan Khan was then a servant of Subhuti Roy. Subhuti Roy put Hassan Khan in charge of digging a big lake, but once finding fault with him, he struck him with a whip. Later, Hassan Khan, somehow or other, was appointed Nawab by the central Muslim government. As a matter of obligation, he increased the offices of Subhuti Roy. Later, when the wife of Nawab Hassan Khan saw the whip marks on the body, she requested him to kill Subhuti Roy. It's pretty intense. I mean, he must have been really whipped to have marks, first off. I mean, they had to bring those welts that last into, turn into scars. Hussain Khan replied, Subhuti Roy has maintained me very carefully. He was just like a father to me, he said. Now you are asking me to kill him. This is not a very good proposal. As a last alternative, the wife suggested that the Nawab take away Subhuti Roy's caste and turn him into a Muslim. But Hussain Khan replied that if he did this, Subhuti Roy would not live. This became a perplexing problem for him because his wife kept requesting him to kill Subhuti Roy. And then Nawab sprinkled a little water on Subhuti Roy's head from a pitcher that had been used by a Muslim. So you can see what even nagging, to keep peace in the family, he has to, keep his wife happy, even if she does something abominable like this. Purport. 500 years ago in India, the Hindus were so rigid and strict that if a Muslim would sprinkle a little water from his pitcher upon a Hindu, the Hindu would be immediately ostracized. I mean, it seems extreme. I mean, I just think you just keep going on around your business, it's okay, just like, but psychologically, it really impacted them, it had a big psychological impact on them. Recently in 1947, during the partition days, there was a big riot between Hindus and Muslims, especially in Bengal. The Hindus were forcibly made to eat cow flesh, and consequently, they began crying, thinking that they had become Muslims. Actually, the Muslims in India did not come from the country of Muslims, but Hindus instituted the custom that somehow or other, if one contacted a Muslim, he became a Muslim. Rupa and Sanatana Goswami were born in high Brahmin family, but because they accepted employment under a Muslim government, they were considered Muslims. Subhuti Roy was sprinkled with water from the pitcher of a Muslim, and consequently, he was condemned to become a Muslim. Later, Aurangzeb, the Muslim emperor, introduced a tax especially meant for Hindus. Being oppressed in the Hindu community, many low-class Hindus preferred to become Muslims. In this way, the Muslim population increased. Later, the British government made it a policy to divide the Hindus and the Muslims, and thus they maintained ill feelings between them. The result was that India was divided into Pakistan and Hindustan. From earlier histories, it appeared that the entire earth was under one culture, Vedic culture, but gradually due to religious and cultural divisions, the rule fragmented into many subdivisions. Now the earth is divided into many countries, religions, and political parties. Despite these political and religious divisions, we advocate that everyone should unite together under one culture, Krishna consciousness. People should accept one God, Krishna, one scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, and one activity, devotional service to the Lord. People may live happily upon this earth and combine to produce sufficient food. In such a society, there would be no question of scarcity, famine, or cultural or religious degradation. So-called caste systems and national divisions are artificial. According to our Vaishnava philosophy, these are all external bodily designations. The Krishna conscious movement is not based upon bodily designations. It is a transcendental movement on the platform of spiritual understanding. If people of the world understand that the basic principle of life is spiritual identification, they would understand that the business of the spirit soul is to serve the Supreme Spirit Krishna. As Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 15, text 7, Mamai matso jiva loke jiva bhutam sanatana. The living entity is the condition in this conditioned world, or my eternal fragmental parts. All living entities in different life forms are sons of Krishna. Therefore, they are all meant to serve Krishna, the original Supreme Father. If this philosophy is accepted, the future of the United States to unite all nations will be sufficiently compensated all over the world by a great Krishna conscious movement. Recently, we had talks with Christian leaders in Australia, including the Catholic Bishop of Melbourne. And everyone there was pleased with our philosophical of oneness and religious consciousness. So I was thinking when we said read one scripture, Bhagavad Gita, there's a, of course, Prabhupada mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Adi Lila that one thing I haven't gone to Navadvip haven't been able to do is apparently there's a book written by, a Bhagavad Gita that was written by Chaitanya. It's in a temple near Santipur. Of course, in the purport, Prabhupada explains right where it is, as he often does. You know, so many, this railway station, so many, you know, this miles. But I know I asked Shiva Ram, he's seen it. He's been there to seen it. And it's probably not that far a drive. You can always rent a car. And I've been to so many places in Navadvip. That's the one that's eluded me, but I would definitely, if I ever go back, like to see that handwritten Bhagavad Gita by Lord Chaitanya. According to Prabhupada, it's still there. 194. Taking the Nawab's sprinkling water upon him as an opportunity, Subhuti Roy left his family and business affairs and went to Varanasi. Purport. It appears that Subhuti Roy was a big landholder and a responsible, respectable gentleman. He could not, however, avoid the social misconception that one becomes a Muslim when water is sprinkled on one's face from a Muslim pitcher. Actually, he was planning to give up his material life and leave his family. Hindu culture recommends 4 divisions: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Subhuti Roy was thinking of taking sannyas, and by the grace of Krishna, he received this opportunity. He therefore left his family and went to Varanasi. The system of Varnashram Dharma is very scientific. If one is directed by the Varnashram institution, he will naturally think of retiring from family life at the end of his life. Therefore, sannyas is compulsory at the age of 50. 195. Any questions? Anybody want to comment on something? I can't hear what. Yeah, I think in the Hare Krishna movement, when you're in, this is a system that Prabhupada got, but the retiring, we don't really retire. Prabhupada never really retired in the process of devotional service. Retirement comes when you're engaged fully as a materialist, to try to give up that consciousness as a materialist and transition into devotional service. So in that sense, you abandon that lifestyle and accept this to the best of your ability, so you can engage your mind more and more and more and more into becoming a devotee. That we're sadhakas, we chant the every morning Shishastaka prayers. It's different levels of faith, and so that at that time we should try to make advancement and develop our faith until we become pure devotees of Krishna. So, 196. Oh, 195. This is, can't skip this one. When Subhuti Roy consulted the learned Brahmins in Varanasi, asking them how his conversion to Islam could be counteracted, they advised him to drink hot ghee and give up his life. I mean, I just don't, this is just obviously extreme. When Subhuti Roy consulted some other Brahmins, they told him that he had not committed a grievous fault, and that consequently, he should not drink hot ghee and give up his life. As a result, Subhuti Roy was doubtful about what to do. So you have some different opinions. You have some people seem to be having some common sense, just applying common sense to the situation. And then some fanatics that, you got to be worried, got to be careful. Purport. This is another instance of Hindu custom. One Brahmin would give advice condoning a particular fault, and another would give advice to the contrary. Typically, lawyers and physicians differ, giving one kind of instruction and then another. Due to the Brahmins' different opinions, Subhuti Roy became further perplexed. He did not know what to do or what not to do. And in Bhagavad Gita, that says that when you actually into the Bhagavad, these things you should understand, what to do and what not to do. A neophyte does not know what to do. But when we make advancement in Krishna consciousness, those things should become more self-evident. 197. In this state of perplexity, Subhuti Roy met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when the Lord was at Varanasi. Subhuti Roy explained his position and asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu what to do. The Lord advised him, go to Vrindavan and chant the Hare Krishna mantra continuously. I mean, that's no better advice than that. This purport. This is a solution for all sinful activities. In this age of Kali, everyone is perplexed by so many inconveniences, social, political, and religious, and naturally, no one is happy. Due to the contamination of this age, everyone has a very short life. There are many fools and rascals who advise people to adopt this way of life or that way of life. But real liberation from life's perplexities means preparation for the next life. Tata dehantara praptir diras tatra na mudyati. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 13. One should be situated in his spiritual identity and return home back to Godhead. The simplest method for this is recommended herein by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We should constantly chant the holy names of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Krishna conscious movement is recommended in this process all over the world. We are saying, chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, be free from all the complexities of life, and realize Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Engage in this devotional service and perfect your life so that you can return home back to Godhead. So this description of, the Kali Yuga, was actually watching, there's this video this guy was talking about giants on YouTube, that there used to be giants in this, so scientists haven't really accepted it, but there are a lot of people, like Dhruta Karma, as I call him, Dhruta Karma's got his book, Hidden, the Archaeology, Hidden Truth, and there are similar people like him that write similar type of books. I call them all Dhruta Karmas, and following in his footsteps. But he's talking about, like the guy was talking about in the Vedas, they talk about there were giants, and he talks about the different ages. There's Satya Yuga is the golden age, and Treta Yuga is the silver age, and Dwapara Yuga is the bronze age, and Kali Yuga is the iron age, which is full of just irritable people at that age. For the beginning, everybody's gets along. It's a golden age. But we get down to Kali Yuga, everybody degrades down to where everybody's just irritable. So it was kind of, for me, it was like, okay, he's got that part. Yeah. So this is it. There's nothing else but chanting, as Prabhupada said. It's the only way. Only way. 199. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further advised Subhuti Roy, begin chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and when your chanting is almost pure, your sinful reactions will go away. After you chant perfectly, you will get the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. Purport. 10 kinds of offenses should be considered. In the beginning, when one is initiated into the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. There are naturally many offenses. Therefore, the devotee should very carefully try to avoid these offenses and chant purely. This does not mean that the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is sometimes pure and sometimes impure. Rather, the chanter is impure due to material contamination. He has to purify himself so that the holy names will be perfectly effective. Chanting the holy name of the Lord inoffensively will help one get immediate shelter at the Krishna's lotus feet. This means by chanting purely, one will immediately be situated on the transcendental platform. We should note, however, that according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions, one should not wait to purify himself before chanting. The Hare Krishna mantra, one should not wait to purify himself before chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Whatever our condition may be, we should begin chanting immediately. By the power of the Hare Krishna mantra, we will gradually be relieved from all material contamination and will get shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna, the ultimate goal of life. I mean, this is, you see sometimes people just give it up. You know, they just feel like they can't do the process, and the very exact thing that's going to help them, they stop doing. I mean, it's the most important activity that we do is chanting Hare Krishna. There's no more important duty. And of course, he talks about these 10 offenses that are so important. Actually, like I mentioned, we chant the Shikshashtaka prayers, but actually knowing these 10 offenses is really more important because you're not going to make any advancement on the Shikshashtaka if you're committing all these offenses. So you have to get out of the offensive stage to the clearing stage and to purely. So you have, first there's the Namaparad. It's offensive chanting. And that's what you just got to keep doing. Even if you commit offenses, you don't stop. Just keep going until you get to the Namabas, which is the clearing. And then there's Sudanam. So these 3 stages Prabhupada mentioned here. You just can't quit under any circumstances. We just have to keep chanting. I know that's my only salvation in this long life is the chanting of this Maha Mantra. There's nothing. And then you give it. Also, it's hearing it from the right source. Of course, there's just one big time, was like Krishna Das. He was a big, very popular. But if you're hearing from somebody who's offensive, you know, he doesn't follow any principles, you're not going to get. It's best to hear chanting from someone who's practicing Krishna consciousness, even if they're in the, Namabas or Namaparad. It's better than hear someone who doesn't accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because people can chant. They get some impact from it. They get something from it, but they can't give it to anybody else. You can only receive the pure sound from somebody who's pure. You can't give it if you don't have it. But whatever we have and whatever stage we have, we continue. We just keep chanting. Never give it up. Okay, text 200. When you are situated at the lotus feet of Krishna, no sinful reaction can touch you. This is the best solution to all sinful activity. Thus, receiving the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go to Vrindavan, Subhuti Roy left Varanasi and went through Prayag, Ayodhya, and Namasharanya toward Vrindavan. Subhuti Roy stayed for some time at Namasharanya. During that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Prayag after visiting Vrindavan. After reaching Mathura, Subhuti Roy received information of the Lord's itinerary. He became very unhappy because he was not able to contact the Lord. Subhuti Roy would collect dry wood in the forest and take it to the city of Mathura to sell. For each load, he would receive 5 or 6 paisa. Early in his livelihood, by selling dry wood, Subhuti Roy would live only on 1 paisa's worth of fried chickpeas, and he would deposit whatever other paisa he had with some merchant. Purport. In those days, there was no banking system like the one now found in Western countries. If one has excess money, he would deposit it with some merchant, usually a grocer. That was the banking system. Subhuti Roy would deposit his extra money with a mercantile man and spend it when necessary. When he was in the renounced order, saving money is not recommended. When one is in the renounced order, saving money is not recommended. However, if one saves money for the service of the Lord or a Vaishnav, that is accepted. These are the dealings of Subhuti Roy, who is one of the confidential devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Rupa Goswami also followed the principle by spending 50% of his money in order to serve Krishna to the Brahmins and Vaishnavas. He gave 25% of his money to relatives. 25% he deposited in the custody of a merchant. These are the approved methods recommended in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Whether in the renounced order or in the Grihastha order, a Vaishnava should follow these principles set forth by previous acharyas. Subhuti Roy used to spend his savings to supply yogurt to Bengali Vaishnavas who came to Mathura. He also gave them cooked rice and oil massages. When he saw a poverty-stricken Vaishnava, he would use his money to feed him. Purport. There is a special reference for the maintenance of Bengali Vaishnavas. A Gaudiya Vaishnava is a Bengali Vaishnava. Most of the devotees of Lord Chaitanya at that time were Gaudiya and Auryas, inhabitants of Bengal and Orissa. There are many hundreds and thousands of his followers in Bengal and Orissa. Bengalis are habituated to eating cooked rice as their staple food. When they went to Mathura in the north, they found that people generally ate chapatis or rotis made of wheat. Bengalis could not digest this food because they were used to cooked rice. Therefore, as soon as Subhuti Roy saw a Bengali Vaishnava arriving in Mathura, he would try to supply him with cooked rice. Bengalis were also accustomed to taking a massage with mustard oil. In any case, Subhuti Roy wanted to serve the Vaishnavas according to their needs. Therefore, he would supply yogurt to ease the digestion of food eaten in Mathura, particularly the chapatis and rotis made of wheat. When Rupa Goswami, text 207, when Rupa Goswami arrived in Mathura, Subhuti Roy, out of love and affection for him, wanted to serve him in so many ways. He personally took Rupa Goswami to see all the 12 forests. Purport. Srila Rupa Goswami had been a minister in the government of Husain Shah, and Subhuti Roy was also known to Husain Shah because, as a boy, the Shah had been Subhuti Roy's servant. It appears that Subhuti Roy was elderly, yet while living in Mathura, he showed Rupa Goswami the 12 forests. 208. 12 forests of Vrindavan. 208. Rupa Goswami remained in Mathura and Vrindavan for 1 month in the association of Subhuti Roy. After that, he left Vrindavan for the search of his elder brother, Sanatan Goswami. When Rupa Goswami heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone to Prayag, on the road along the bank of the Ganges, Rupa and his brother Anupad went there to meet the Lord. Okay, thank you very much. All glories to Sri Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We'll stop there, text 210.
Govindam Adipurusham Kamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Jamin Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Jami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalaya Taksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Jami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Jami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Jami Angani Yasa Sakalen Kriya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Jami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Jami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Jami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Jami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Jami
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Putale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Samini Namane Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Bhajante, Nivasesha Shunya, Vade Vasacha, Jasatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaur Madhu Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Jai Shri Krishna Nityananda Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Siva Sadi, Golaka Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Nityananda Ramanityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Siva Sadi Golaka Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Jai, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Jai, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Come on. Krishna, Jai Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gore, Krishna, 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 Gore, Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Radhe, Radhe. Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Om Vishnu Pad. Paramahamsa Paramacharya. Also tells it to Shrimad, Divine Grace, Abhaya Chandana, Vasanana Dosai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Please come on Harinam today, 11:30. We'll be at Weaver Street Market. It's going to be a nice day. There'll be a lot of folks out with their dogs, kids, and other things. So please come and give the holy name to everyone. Harebo. Chaito Dharmana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairam Yachandri Kavitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvadma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Mahadan Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam buddha kribaya tavabada pankaja stita duli sadushim vachintaya nayanam gadadashu daraya varanam gadgadu gira pulakarnishitam vapukada tavanama grahadeva vishyati yugayatam namishena chakshusha bravashayatam shunayatam jagatsarvam govindam virahename ashlishyava padamritam anastumam adarshanam marmahata karotuva yatatatava viradatulam pato mat pranatastu sa eva napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benedictions living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda, I am your eternal servitor. Somehow or other, I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant